What's going on, everybody? It is 8 p.m. Eastern time. I always say on the East Coast, Eastern, EST. You know what I'm talking about. You know what time it is if you're here. And if you're not, you're watching on the replay, so that's cool too. Welcome. My name is Adam, and you're watching Proper Royals. And I do the show every Tuesday night. Usually I have it with a guest, and I'm going to go solo tonight. Every now and again, I go solo. It's a good time for kind of housekeeping. And I also like to, I'm going to talk a little bit about it in the social media section tonight, but I also like to make sure that I can always do it. If I never know if somebody's going to cancel on me or something's going to come up, and I'm certainly not going to talk about it, but believe it or not, like there's booking drama. Like it's a pain to book these shows, and who other show have you been on, and some other this is true. There are podcasters that tell people or make them agree that they can't go to somebody else's show for a certain amount of time. Anyway, I don't do that. I don't do that stuff. But yeah, so I took the tough week of booking off or skipped the headache of booking. And now I'm just going to do the show by myself. I gotta adjust this mic for a minute here. I thought I'd talk about shows. A couple things led to me vending reptile shows. So we'll do that as the kind of this microphone gets in the way. I try and use my hands, and I'm going to get better at it because I did a Instagram survey and it said I should use the microphone. And I'm going to try and keep up with all the comments. So if I'm looking over here, I'm looking at the comments. A 17 out of the gate for me solo. Thank you guys. That's cool. So we'll talk about shows. A couple things led to that. I wanted to try vending shows this year, and I knew that it would be challenging, and I wasn't sure if it was for me or not. So I kind of made a commitment to myself that I would do 8 shows before I made any, kind of decisions on whether they're worthwhile or not. I was committed to doing 8 shows, and I put in the liner notes that I had done 7 this year, but I had Tampa Repticon in February on my calendar, but I did not vend at that. I had a music gig the next day, that Sunday. So I confused myself. I've done 6 shows this year, 6 shows in under 5 months, and they've all been here in Florida. So we're going to talk about that. I also, and they're good friends, heard Jessica and some friends, right? Jessica and Jana over at Holdback Rack podcast. I'm going to hear about that one. Jessica and Jana over at the Holdback Rack podcast. They had some opinions on shows, and I honestly was kind of taken aback. And obviously their opinions are theirs and their experiences are theirs. So this isn't they're wrong and I'm right, but I had some different opinions and experiences. And so I thought I would share it just as another point of view. So in that way, thanks for the show prep. And if you haven't checked out the Holdback Rack podcast, you should. I watch theirs and Jeremy Warfel's all the time, 2 very different products. And I should watch more, but I'm busy. I got stuff, we'll talk about that tonight too. So anyhow, we'll get into that. Let me do some quick announcements. Let me do some hellos. I think, Chad said it was his first time being here. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight, Chad. I'll tell you guys, if I don't mention you, don't feel left out. I always want to make sure anybody new gets a shout out. But really, I rather just get to the content rather than just read everybody's name. Sarah, sorry I missed you this weekend. I know you couldn't make it. Cool post with Ulysses. That was cool to see you 2 together. Nikki from across the pond. What's going on? Late night over there. I hope you're enjoying yourself. What's up, Tito? And yeah, Tito, I don't know if you know Brandon Nixon or not. He says he knows somebody that's looking for ASFs in our area. So anyway, you might hear from him. That's all I know about it. And Jeremy, what's going on, man? Guys, I got to tell you, Jeremy Bod, he called to check in on me. He heard I had a good show. He's like, it's a good show. Congratulations. Jeremy has been exceptionally good to me in this industry really for several years now. And I don't think I would be vending. Maybe I'd be, I don't know. Who knows how the world would have turned out, but I think about vending a or I think about Jeremy a lot when I'm vending. I learned a lot from him with it, and certainly got his encouragement. So let's just jump into it. Oh no, I said I had some announcements. I got eggs this week from my hypo banana girl. She was bred to a hypo pied super pastel male, so all the babies will be hypo. They'll all be het for pied, and I could get banana. They'll all be pastel as well, which works well in hypo and in pied, and then half of them will be banana. So should be good. Eight good eggs from her. No slugs. Still no slugs this year. Knock on wood. I did have one egg spoil. I put that reel on Instagram. I've still left it in there, but it's looking rough. I'm going to pull that thing out of there, I think. I did the Jacksonville show this past weekend. We're of course going to dive into that, so just stick around on that. Those of y'all that are going, maybe we'll have to do a live. We'll certainly do content from it. Maybe we'll live stream some of it. I don't know. July 1st, I'm going to be, speaking of Jeremy Warfels, I'm going to be at Warfels barbecue up in Pennsylvania, and it all started with him asking if I'd come play music at his barbecue. I was like, yeah. And then another breeder that's been a really good supporter of me as well is Phil. And Phil is at Finger Snakes BP, excuse me. He just rips. He's a shredder on guitar. And so we've been talking. I think it's official. Yeah, we're going to play. Phil will take lead guitar duties, and we'll have a little show at Warfels July 1st. You got to talk to him for the invite and the address. I don't even have any of that stuff yet, so you got to talk to him. Next week on the show, Gray Family Snakes. They're over in Sierra Leone right now. I think it's a church mission, but it might not be church related, but there's certainly a mission that they're on to help raise money and awareness for local eye surgeries that are really relatively cheap and can prevent blindness. And so they're doing some real good for the neighborhood. And Sierra Leone happens to be one of the places that ball pythons come from in the wild. So it's really kind of a cool thing to see their interactions there. Check them out. Gray Family Snakes. They'll be on. That's next week. May 30th, they will be on the show. So check them out. June 6th, I'm still sorting out. June 13th, Gray Rider. I don't know if it's Gray Rider Reptiles. He's doing the shed tests as well. He's got his own little cottage business going there. We're going to talk business, talk entrepreneurial ideas, and of course, ball pythons. And then my next show that I will be vending at is June 10th in Tampa at the Repticon there. What's up, Stan? Good to see you this weekend at the show, man. Stan's at all the shows, man. All right. Yeah, enough. I suck at shout outs. I should get better. I appreciate you guys being here. I hope you all know that. And I hope that I express that often. I do need to say hey to Casey Goff. Casey is a Patreon member, so huge thanks to Casey. Let's get to the shows. So generally speaking, well, not generally, let me give you some facts. So I had not vended a show whatsoever until January of this year, and my calendar's over here. So the Show Me Snake show, January 14th in Jacksonville, was the very first show that I ever vended. And I got to come clean and tell you too, in all fairness, I definitely was one of the guys that was like, man, I don't know if these numbers work. I got to buy all the displays. I got to put in all the time. I got to travel. I've got to stress out my snakes. I've got to risk mites and biosecurity and all of that. And I used to talk about that a lot. It was why I kind of delayed doing shows. I also didn't have much inventory. Plus, I was selling my inventory on Morph Market just fine. So I didn't really, I had really small inventory coming, in previous years. So I was kind of like, I wouldn't say I was against shows, but it was like I had all the reasons why I wasn't going to do a show. But at the end of the year, I had set a goal for myself to triple last year's revenues, gross revenue. And so I felt that the shows were part of it. Huge shout out to Dale at Constricted Reptiles. Dale was kind enough to let me come work with him for 2 different shows to really let me get a feel for what goes on, what I was going to need. I was able to take notes and make my own checklist of what I needed. I was able to kind of practice and work on my own delivery and interaction with his customers. I was only selling his stuff, but, you know, it's like if somebody opens their house to you, you're going to give it the very, very best that you have. And so, I mean, I was selling his dry goods. I was helping pack up. I was moving cases, all of that kind of thing. And the money I stayed out of, I never knew how much he was selling or not selling. You know, anytime a deal was about to go down, I would step back, give them space and privacy kind of thing. But Dale was a huge help. So I thought I had two kind of practice shows under my belt. I'd been to some other shows where guys like Jeremy Bott had let me check out their setup, come on back behind the table, see what they have going on. So I felt like I was prepared, and they did a great job of preparing me, even down to little things like that I would have never thought of. Like in my show kit, I have peroxide and Band-Aid in case a kid gets bit. They never have, but not bad, right? Like kid gets bit, everybody panics. No, you're cool, you're calm, you're letting them know it's all right. Anyhow, it's a huge help. So I go fast forward till now, in less than 5 months. So what would that be? That'd be 13, 17, 19 weeks. I've done 6 shows. So I've averaged like one every 3 weekends. I've been working shows. It's kind of a hectic pace, but I wanted to do it to get a full like experience of what I was doing. Yeah. Jeremy says, yep. You sold me something. Do you remember what it was? Yeah, I do remember what it was. I was at Dale's table and I sold Jeremy Bod. I sold him a probe kit. And I think now here's the real question. Can I remember what you were going to probe that day? Audience, there's your cue to go crazy with your comments. I think you were going to probe I'm going to say a rhino iguana, but I'm not sure. But yeah, it was a probe kit, I believe, that I sold you from Dale's table is what I recall on there. So I did 5 shows in 6 shows in less than 5 months. And look, the spoiler is that I've found value in them. I'm enjoying doing them. It's broadening my audience. So like I go through kind of these spurts. I really built up the YouTube audience. Then I really focused on Instagram. And of course these things overlap. Like you guys see that I put the thumbnails on Instagram to get you all to come here to YouTube to check it out. So it's all interrelated. It's all a big machine to, I mean, build the audience, but I mean, really it's to sell ball pythons. Now the audience leverage does help with sponsorships, which these solo shows are kind of a pain for my sponsors, because normally when there's 2 faces, like one would be right there, and then one would be right there, and then up here we would have sponsors. But I don't know if you noticed, I changed my attire tonight. So we got Cold Blooded Cafe, and then right back there, there it is. It comes in focus if I lean back. That's REDLINE shipping. And then Chris from BNS Reptilia is a sponsor as well. I don't know if you could tell, spoiler for what's coming up, but there's that teal color under there. And it's not a Jaguars shirt, I'll tell you that. Which I'm down with the Jags, but that I don't own any. So I did those 6 shows. Yeah, like I say, it broadens my audience. It's a different connection. So YouTube is a really high connection to you all here in the audience that I could chat with, that I see back. I know, there's 27 of you here right now. I know most of you, if not all of you. So that's really kind of a really high engagement. When you go to Instagram, it's a really low, like person to person engagement, right? Like I got 5,400 some followers on Instagram, but I might only know 50 or 60 of them. So the rest of them like interact with my content and which are pictures or just short reels. And the shows are like a continuation of that, except they're this massive engagement. It's person to person. You can see into each other's eyes. Like you all could see my eyes right now, but I can't see into yours. And so it's a higher level of engagement, which I really I appreciate that as well. Because some people want the Instagram interaction and engagement, and some people want the show in person engagement. So it allows me to really connect with different audiences. It also connects. I like connecting with like the families. You know, sometimes like the grandparents are real skittish. Sometimes the kids are, they're almost always really excited, and maybe the parents are a little bit skittish. But there's been some sales from kind of cracking that family stuff or getting one person on board, whether it's the kid or the grandmother or whatever it might be. The other things that I see are maybe, you know, well, yeah, I'll talk about them now, because I'm going to give you exact numbers instead of just being like, oh, Adam feels good. Yay. No, I'll tell you the exact numbers. I'll tell you what I'm looking at and how things work and why I really think that they are worthwhile. For me, I can't tell you what's worthwhile for you. I can't tell you what stage you'll perform well on. And you'll see I've had some bad performances too. Jeremy brought this up when I was talking with him, and I agree wholeheartedly. Usually the week after a show, my morph market inquiries increase, my subscribers and followers increase. So there's like a ripple effect through it, and that's pretty cool. The other thing I've seen, especially at the Kissimmee show last time, there was somebody I met that was local here in Jacksonville. They didn't buy anything at the Kissimmee show, but the following Thursday, they ended up calling me and spending quite a lot of money. So is that a show sale? Is that a morph market sale? Is it I don't care what kind of sale it is. It all worked. It worked because I met the person at the show, whether I got the revenue at the show or not. So that's an example on that. And that's happened a couple times. And honestly, I made just a soft wager with my wife that I think by Friday, I'll have something like that happen after this show. Another cool example, and I won't name names, but actually I think that they're in the audience here. Somebody reached out to me after the show and said, hey, I got a buddy that's looking for a pied. What do you got? And I'm like, oh, or what do you have left or what did you sell at the show? So I could tell them about the pieds that you still have. I was like, that's cool too. So these are all cool things that happen just by getting out there. If you've watched the show, you've heard me just preach about just get out, do the work, go do the work, put yourself out there with a good effort, with all you got, and see what happens. You never know. Like in consulting, I say in my day job, I say, you never know what job you're interviewing for. So with sales, like you never quite know what like next sales you're going to get, you know? So yeah, so put it out there the best that you can on that. The last thing the two more things that I really like about the shows, as you do more and more, the vendor relationships get better and better. And so like, lonely is not the right word, but man, when you don't know anybody and you got to stand there for 7 hours, it's like the first day of school, man. It could be a little bit brutal, but when you know some of the other vendors, when you're catching up with them, when you go see what they're working on, or what their goods are, or, not even animals, what they do. I was looking for a business card. It was going to be a perfect time to pop a logo up there. Good things start to happen. And I'm not even saying like, yeah, business, dollars and cents, good things happen sometimes. Like vendors will buy from each other constantly. But like I bought a display tower, acrylic display tower from Mid-Florida Displays at this last show. I paid full retail for it, but man, those guys are great. And now I'm already thinking to myself, well, the next go round that I'll need for next year's hatchlings, I'm all set this year. I'm going to go see them. Like we built a relationship. Hopefully they're telling somebody else the same thing about me. Like, hey, I'd seen that guy, Adam, at a couple shows. He's a good dude. He made an order. He paid us in cash, no headache, no hassle. Boom. Good deal. Right. So the vendor relationships are great. Jeremy, like I say, he's always looked out for him. He's been good to me. I never bought a snake from the guy. We've done some other business between sponsors, between some projects together and that kind of thing. But it was really cool because I called him up this week and I was like, hey, finally, that one I've been looking at, I want to buy, man. And I felt good too, because I didn't mention price once. I was like, man, I want that, whatever it is. He gave me the number. And and then the cool thing happens where he's like, don't worry about paying me right now. Just pay me when you pick it up. Like, you're good. Like, so these vendor relationships make life easier. They make transactions easier. You feel better about them. So vendor relationships happen at shows. Also, if the show is slow, I don't know if y'all notice, sometimes I probably post more when I'm at shows than I do in my everyday life. If it's slow, like you got all your lights up, you got your full stage set up there, it's a perfect time for making content, and particularly for the animals. Like, I took pictures and filmed animals that I'll have content for the next week kind of thing. So I get ahead on that so I could stay busy. I don't sit still well. I fidget. So, I mean, I may as well be working and making content, but that, those are some of the benefits, outside, finances. So finances, y'all probably are interested in this, because like I say, for a long time, I was kind of the guy that was down on, does it make sense? I got to pay my overhead. It's so much time, it's effort. You got to go out of town. You got gas, blah, blah, blah. I gave all the reasons why. Well, now that I've jumped in, let's break down these numbers some. And thankfully I took notes. Maybe I'll even like post the picture on Instagram later. Man, we're about to crack 40 viewers with me solo. Like, I usually think the guests are what people come to the show for, but this is pretty cool. Thank you all very much. I really appreciate it. John Inklon, what's going on, man? I hope that you're doing well, John. I hadn't caught up with you a whole lot since you moved, man. I hope you're doing well. We'll catch up soon, man. So the shows, I'll just give you the honest rundown, and you're going to see what kind of crazy ups and downs you have to weather. And it was luck. It wasn't insight. Maybe it was a little bit of insight, but not much. I'm so glad that I committed to myself that I would do 8 shows regardless. If I didn't sell a penny, I would do 8 shows. I'm so glad I did. Listen to these numbers. So in January, I did 2 shows. I did a Jacksonville Show Me Snakes show. I did $72. The whole show. Revenue. This is all revenue. $72 in revenue at that show. That was my first one. Kind of hurt. The next one was in Orlando. And that ended up being a really great show. I was incredibly conflicted because I did basically 2,000. I'm just going to make these all easy math. They're all within $100 either way. But I did 2,000 at that show. How do you think I felt at the end of that? Like, first I was like I was bouncing off the walls. I to 2,000. Holy cow. I need to just, buy a camper and do this full time, which you can't unless you have 2 sets of stock, because you got to feed these things and get them back home, and they probably don't eat on the road. I don't know. I never tried to feed an animal like in its display. You wouldn't do that, right? I don't know. Maybe some of these road warriors might have secrets. I don't know. March, come back to Jacksonville. Bear in mind, that's my hometown. Those of y'all that don't know. So January in my hometown, $72. In March, back in my hometown, 0. Goose egg. Did not sell a penny at that show. So I'd gone 72, 2,000, 0. Okay. Later in March, I think it was back-to-back weekends, actually. I'm looking at my calendar up here. Yeah, actually, sorry, that was backwards. Oh, okay. All right, hang on. So I did January in Jacksonville, 72, January in Orlando, 2,000. Excuse me. It was Lakeland first. So I already gave you the spoiler on Jacksonville. Lakeland. I drive all the way to Lakeland, Florida, there's no fast way to get there unless you know for sure I-4 isn't going to be a hassle, and you never know that. So Lakeland is actually my longest drive of all the places that I've vended so far. It takes me a little bit over 3 hours to get there. Drove all the way to Lakeland, $80 that weekend. So at this point, I'd gone 72, 2,000, 80. And then the following weekend, back to back, Jacksonville Repticon, I did 0 at that one. I was like, this is madness, you know? And I took my son with me that weekend. So I'm on a, you know, father-son trip, keeping an 11-year-old occupied, which is no action whatsoever. April comes along last month. I vend the Kissimmee show. Boom. Back to 2000 again. 72, 2000, 0, 80, 2000. Pretty good. That Kissimmee show also, if you're just joining me, I mentioned this kind of snowball effect or the ripple effects. That was also the one where I get back to Jacksonville and somebody calls me and spends, well, you know, a lot of money in my world, a lot of money, 4 figures. So was that a $2,000 or was that a $3,000 show? We'll call it a $2,000 one because we're talking about the shows there themselves specifically. Then this past weekend, really, really great weekend for me. I actually exceeded $3,000 by a little bit. We'll just call it 3 for easy math. So I had a boss one time that he's really process driven. He came from a Toyota manufacturing background. And he said, if you can't describe what you're doing as a process, you don't know what you're doing. I have my checklists. I have the processes that I go through, but I don't have a definition of what process leads to what success, other than just showing up sometimes leads to a lot of success. And overall, I would call it a success. So maybe in a really macro way, that is the process. Maybe I'm starting to know what I'm doing. But what I'm really saying is I still don't know. I'm just showing up and I'm working hard. I greet everybody that walks by. If they don't say hello, that's on them. I don't sit down at shows. Like literally, I don't even have a chair behind my table. So it forces myself to stay engaged. I will be on my phone, but I'll put it, not only will I look up from it, like I'll make a point of setting it down if people walk by. So, I mean, there are some things that I'm doing like in a process driven way. Yeah. Oh, Jessica's here. Awesome. Yeah, Jessica, those $0 shows were just brutal. They just absolutely like soul crushing, you know? Jessica, I think you just joined in. I hope that go back. You'll see, I definitely gave you and Jana props for putting the idea of show recaps, because I had a little bit of different experience than you all did. And I hope I made clear at the beginning that first I was inspired by your show. Second, different opinions are totally cool, and different experiences create those different opinions. So full credit where it's due there to Jessica. All right, so let's do the math now. On quick math, we put those 6 shows together, and my math is terrible tonight. I thought I had done 7, as I explained earlier, and now on my math sheet, I've written that I've only done 5. It's 6 shows. 6 shows, $7,150. If you do 6 into that, if you did 6 into 7,200, that'd be 1,200 a show. That actually is pretty good. I'd be pretty thrilled if I was doing 1,200 every show. Now, things are all relative, because there's a lot of people that I've talked to that say, you know, if I don't do 2,000 or 2,500, it's really not worthwhile. There's also people that tell me you got to have this or you got to do that, and I want to pick those apart, but let's stick with it for just a moment. So 1,200 a show average revenue. My overhead, I operate, and I do this in my business and in my restaurants as well. And it's what works for me. There's many different ways to do these things. I operate with what I call a lean mentality. There's a whole business study called Lean. You can go research it if you want, but it's really about organization. It's not about necessarily doing more with less. It's about efficiency, and it's about organization and maximizing the resources that you have. And also considers the number of steps you take, the things that you're loading, the things that you have to track when you get back home and put away, and all that sort of thing. So, lean, I operate on one table. I have 2 ARS displays. I have 1 tower, and I have that very banner right there is my show banner. I bring a show tablecloth, and I have a little 4-foot short table that goes behind me that I put my banner on. That's mostly it. I could do my setup with 2 trips from the truck, and then the animals are 2 more trips because I'm not strong enough to safely carry 2 ARS cases at once. I was built for a lot of things, but brute strength is not one of them. So let's say Show Me Snake shows are a little bit cheaper. Repticon shows are a little bit more expensive to vend at. But let's say I have an average show overhead of $150 per show. And some of the shows are in town. 3 of them been in town, 3 out of town. Let's just say I drive, for easy math, let's just say I average 100 miles driving on to the shows. The stuff in town is, I mean, we're talking 10 or 15 miles. So it's really not very far. That might be a little small. You know what? I'm going to up it on an average. Let's say it's 150 that I drive on average, and at 60 cents a mile mileage that you get to have right now. So what, 50 cents would be $75. Let's just call it $90 that I'm in for between gas, wear and tear on the truck. Like I say, IRS mileage, let's just call that 90. So I'm in for 150. I'm in for the table. I'm in for $90 on wear and tear on the truck and gas. I do on Saturday of the show, I'll usually spend about $30 of food, and that's I eat. This is there's a gas station in Florida. I think they're on the East Coast all over the place. They're called Wawa, which is a really dumb name for a gas station, but they're the very best, and they actually have pretty good road food. But breakfast, I'll get a little Wawa sandwich, a hot croissant thing, a big coffee at Wawa to get me through the show or the morning part of the show. And then I'll buy a grilled chicken Caesar wrap, and I'll buy a bottle of water. And that all comes out to around $17. And then that leaves me $13 to figure out something to grab quick on the road that night. So I put it at $30. The second day of the show, I won't spend that evening money because I'll get home. I'll drive home that night. So let's call the food $45 is what I'm doing. And then one of my hacks is that I don't stay at hotels for shows. I will generally stay with friends along the I-4 corridor in Orlando and Tampa, and anything north of Orlando. I'm home based here in Jacksonville. So I could do the Sarasota shows. I could do the Largo shows. I don't know if there's one in St. Pete, but that Tampa area I can commute from. And then I've got good friends in Orlando that'll put me up as well. So I don't spend the hotel money, but there's a pretty good understanding that we're going to have a good time if I'm staying with them. So I usually spring for drinks at the house. So I'll bring, I figure I spend about $40 on fun money at the house. So let's throw all that in a blender. And I've updated this. I had a nice round number earlier, but I've updated it. So 150 for the table, 90 for the travel. That's 240, 45 for the food. That's 285. And then another $40 for fun. That puts us at $325. $325 from $1,200. That means that I'm netting an average of around $900 a show. $900 in a weekend, I'm pretty down for. Now, to Jessica's point and some other people's point, all the time it took to breed those animals, all the mice and rats or the rodents it took to feed them, the electricity it took to make them viable. Sure. How do I quantify that? I'm not sure. I think Jessica said maybe that. What was your Jessica? What was your calculation that it was like 65 or $70? Somebody said Buc-ee's. I wanted one of these days. I want to do a whole man, I should do it soon. A whole show on like road life. So like I tour in bands. So everybody has their like gas stations. Like I can't stand Buc-ee's. You go to Buc-ee's, it's 45 minutes of your life gone. You could get back on the road. You can make better time faster. And you don't, oh my gosh, Buc-ee's is like it's like a cult, right? They do have clean bathrooms. I will say that. If mine goes Wawa, then Buc-ee's, and then probably like a racetrack or something like that. The Piggly Wiggly, man, I hadn't seen a Piggly Wiggly in years, maybe decades. Yeah. Stuff there is really good. So I'm going to use, I think, like say, I think Jessica did the full analysis and came up with like each ball python you produce costs you like $65. Let's just say, hey, let's round it up. Maybe costs are going up. Let's call it $70. So I said I was clearing like $875 plus the 70 to create each animal. So I feel like I'm clearing about $800 on average per weekend. That's pretty good. I mean, I couldn't make more than that predictably at home. Now, I might be sitting at home and sell a snake on Morph Market or make a really killer Instagram reel and that snake sells and it happens to be worth more than $800 and I didn't have all the show and time overhead. Maybe. You know, the dollar per hour argument is a little bit of a slippery slope. What else was I really going to be doing that weekend? Did I make more or less than sitting on the couch watching Netflix? Well, it's more. So I think it's good. And for all those other reasons that I said, you know, the follow-up sales, the repeat customers, the vendor relationships, social media content, I'm really enjoying them. I'm liking them. I had a good experience there. I have to say too, I have to speak up. Someone was on my show not too long ago, and it was their experience, their opinion. They really didn't have very kind things to say about Repticon. And I know that other people haven't either. And I know that, you know, according to whose tribe you're in and what, you know, what Patreon you're subscribed to, maybe it's a cool thing to do to dump on Repticon, but they've been good to me. And here in Florida, they're a really great platform for us breeders. They've been really good. They've done well for me. So I've got nothing bad to say about Repticon. And if I did, you know, I talk to them in person. I do fill out the surveys. I let them know if, you know, they're a little loose on what they run and that stuff. I've not seen the challenge, and I'm sure I'll come across it, but I've not seen the challenge of like vendors that I'm next to that I'm terrified of their animals or anything like that. By and large, I'm seeing people doing pretty good things. There's always levels and you always want to be at the high end of that. And then, you know, if I needed to, if I felt uncomfortable, I'd ask for a different table. I'd ask to move, or I just flat out would just drag my table. Like the interesting thing at Jacksonville is that and I think part of why I did well, Jacksonville kind of has a reputation as not a very good show. So the big guys weren't there. You know, Steve Casino wasn't there. Dale and Steve are out on a cruise with a bunch of breeders. Shout out to those guys. They've all been good to me in there. Yeah, Marks and Cheryl are out there with them. Miguel at Perfectly Engineered Reptiles, he's out there with them on the boat. So those guys weren't around. You know, George MD, he didn't come to the show this weekend. Dale wasn't there. Now Rice Reptiles, the Kabilka partner, he was there. Matter of fact, he was my vending neighbor. Talk about like wondering if I chose the right spot or not, man. And literally I was behind his banner. That's like, I'm sure it wasn't 20 by 20, but it was a massive banner. Like I had to strategically place my banner off to the side just to make it visible, but it went well. So what I kind of wonder is like these smaller shows, is that a place where I can make a bigger splash at the level that I'm at? So I'm in Tampa in June, vending it, and all of those guys will be at that Tampa show. Tampa is, outside of Daytona, Tampa's probably the best show I've ever seen. I've not been to the Tinley or Arlington shows, but Tampa's a really, really great show. But all those guys are going to be there. Am I going to get lost in the crowd, or will I make it? You know, we're going to have to see about it. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up on some of the comments while I'm reading or while I'm speaking too. Yeah, I haven't experienced that, you know, the negative side, and maybe it's region and locale based. So I just have to go on my own experiences there. And mine have been positive. They've been good to me as far as Repticon goes. Yeah. So take all that, put it in a blender, see what you think. But netting 800 on 6 shows, that's good money. I mean, that's pretty good in 4.5 months. I mean, that's over $1,000 a month. I'm averaging netting doing that, selling snakes. So I feel good about it. I like the shows. I like what's going on there. You guys can let me know what I'm forgetting. Yeah, Jeremy's told me for a long time to try and get at least 2 tables. I don't have the display stuff. I don't know. I'm liking my setup right now. I don't have the inventory to go to expand it by December. And December is the Orlando show. By December, I probably will have a second table. I'll get a second banner. But I don't mind growing, scaling as I grow in size. It's working out all right at the moment. And I still want to continue to grow. Oh, yeah. Oh, good question. Pope says, does Repticon still want to let you in the show for 2 hours? No, as far as I know, that was a COVID thing. Everything was a COVID thing. I didn't go to reptile shows before COVID. But no, they're wide open now. You can hang out as long as you want. They don't have the time slots anymore. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to try the bigger one. I hear people telling me to get the bigger tables. I guess it's just to stick out and stand out. Like I say, time will tell. For right now, it's all right. And with the hatchlings that I have coming this year, I'll certainly need more as well. Give me 1 second. I'm out in my snake room. It's 82 degrees. I've been wearing this Cold-Blooded Cafe long sleeve hoodie t-shirt for quite some time now. Give me 1 second. I will be right back. I am sweating. Just a second. There we go. Time for shout out number 2. That's BNS Reptilia from that's Chris from BNS Reptilia. Chris is a sponsor on the show. It's hard when I go solo. I got to figure out how to get all the logos in here, and all I could figure out was some clothing. And yeah, props to Redline shipping back there. The link to check out Chris at BNS is down below. I don't know if it's a LinkTree or Instagram that he's got that I put on there, but you can check him out. He's got all sorts of different animals: ball pythons, boas, colubrids, Morelia. I'm getting there on all the stuff that he has, but he's super knowledgeable, super supportive. And matter of fact, I think he's already left to prepare for a different show tonight as well. Later, of course, not on right now. I wouldn't send you anywhere else. So a huge thanks to Chris. He's always been a great supporter. I can't wait to see him again. I'll see him in Pennsylvania in July, and then I'll see him in Daytona in August. That's pretty cool. So huge thanks to Chris. While we're at it, check out the banner down below, Redline Shipping. You can use the code PROPER5 to save $5 off of your next shipping label. If you've already used the code, I think you only get it once. But if you bought a snake and the person you bought it from hadn't used the code, you could save some money on shipping that way and get them to use the code. Also, the very good people at Cold-Blooded Cafe. They're the only frozen thawed. Well, I buy them frozen and then I thaw them. They're the only frozen rodents that I use. And each week, about 85% of my collection eats frozen thawed. And they are the only rodents that I use. Go check out Cold-Blooded Cafe. Use the promo code PROPER10. They're going to give you 10% off your order. Not $10, 10%. 10% off a full box of frozen rodents. That's some serious cash for you there. So check it out. I hope that you have a good experience with them. I think that you will enjoy them. Both those companies have been great to me, and I was a customer before I ever signed on with them business-wise. FWC update. I got to say, I'm a little caught off guard, taken aback. This is a dumb expression. I'm taken aback. I haven't heard as much celebration as I did outrage, and which actually is good, because in this case outrage was useful. Usually that annoys me. Like, I'd rather people focus on the good rather than the bad. But I didn't even it was like a day after the meeting or later that I heard that the Miami meeting was so successful. So those of y'all that don't know what I'm talking about, in Florida, there's the Florida Wildlife Commission. And if you have not heard of I think they call it the Holy Thursday Massacre. Basically what happened is FWC killed, euthanized. And when I say killed, you could see the video, and that's why. Something like 32 reticulated pythons that they had deemed illegal and outlawed. And there's a lot of questions surrounding whether they even were illegal, and certainly whether due process had played out in the whole situation. And I don't want to recap that. I want to look at the success here. But one thing they also did was they killed a pregnant boa. And regardless of the financial worth of her and her babies, which was significant, that snake was not illegal whatsoever. That snake was somebody's pet. That snake was part of somebody's livelihood, to the tune of, they report, 6 figures. Just, can you imagine how, like, first, how awful that is. Second, how mainstream public would feel if, say, that was a pregnant Frenchie. Can you imagine what would happen? Like, so it stirred up a lot of this, and FWC has really had these outreach, or overreach issues. In my opinion, they've really skirted a lot of illegal search and seizure, constitutional rights, and warrant right to privacy and that sort of thing, issues in what they do. But right now, what they were after was what they called a whitelist program. And in order for there to be a whitelist, everything has to be blacklisted, and then is researched and put through due process and examination. And then we'll move them over to the whitelist as we get around to them and as we wish. And that was their proposal and their determination. Why am I talking about overreach, whitelist, and Holy Thursday Massacre? All these things were going on at the same time. And it had really kind of been, I wouldn't say flying under the radar, but what's the analogy of the boiling frog? You put a frog in a pot of this is really bad on a reptile show. You guys know what I'm talking about. What I think had happened was we'd kind of gotten used to this threat of this whitelist. It didn't happen, but we got looking like it was going to, and we got reassured by USARK that they were going to fight it. And I felt a real sense of confidence that even if it was installed in place, that, the lawyers and the constitutionality issues of it would, it would get appealed and put on hold, and basically that this would go on in perpetuity. And it still might. But I think what happened, and I'm not putting a positive spin on this, it was a horrible thing. But I think what happened is, when that massacre of all those animals took place, it really, really, really pissed off a whole lot of people that had been sort of getting numb to the idea, or getting, complacent. And what happened is, in that time, FWC had also stated that there would be a decision on this whitelist on such and such a date that I believe was May 11th and 12th, maybe. Jeremy, what date was it, if you're still watching? When was that? Yeah, Ray, I do have a little update on that Marco Rubio bill. We're going to get to that in a minute. Yeah, Derek, you're exactly right too. I got to follow up on that point as well. We're gonna check that out. Yeah, and more for, even if you don't own reptiles, it is complete overreach. That's the thing. If this becomes the model, FWC has no elected officials. They don't legislate anything. They just proclaim. They have open forums for comment, but they could decide whatever they want. And here's the irony, and I don't know if it's to a specific person or not. So I could be overstating in my own way here. But that panel of directors or board members or whatever the equivalent is in their organization, most of them are property developers. Property developers in Florida are the ones that are in charge of ecological balance and conservation. I keep this a PG-ish show, but man, I got some thoughts about that, you know. So all of those things make for a really unhealthy situation right now, and a tone and a feeling in Florida. And what ended up happening that I think most of you all know, but I haven't heard like the shouts of hooray or that kind of thing, which is really, that was kind of surprising to me, is not immediately out of the gate. And Jeremy was there again. It was on the 11th. Jeremy, you could chime in with your thoughts as well, or your perception. The panel of the FWC panel of the videos that I saw was like almost like humbled. The tone of the director, that this guy Barretto, the commissioner, he had basically said before, we're coming for your animals, and we don't care. I think those are nearly verbatim words that he had spoken. And now it was like, well, from all the input, from all the shareholders, from all the livelihoods we would affect, we're going to shelf this whitelist conversation. And now we've nominated, and not nominated, appointed a new executive director. The old executive director, I don't know if he retired or was forced out, or if this was planning and coming along anyway. And it was, this hopeful, conciliatory tone that we're going to work with everybody. When somebody asked for very specific clarification, hey, are you delaying this decision until the next meeting, or what's your expectation? He said, well, this would be a monstrous task to tackle by next meeting. Yeah, dude, it's been a monstrous task to tackle, and it's a bad plan. We're not going to, the whitelists are not a good idea, and they're not a good plan. And what it felt like was they finally realized that they got exposed, that they had to take a step back. I don't know how genuine they are at the moment. And I'll say that out loud because that's my experience. I don't know how genuine they are. But if what that guy Barretto said on the record, from a conciliatory standpoint, from a working with business owners, with pet owners, as he refers to them, stakeholders are the taxpayers that have the reptiles and have something to say about all of this. That was just a massive, regardless of whether he's genuine or not, it's just a massive, massive victory for USARK Florida. And I just got to say, such a huge thanks. Elizabeth is at most of the shows that I'm vending with family reptiles. And then, she's on the board of USARK. Eugene Bissett is just a fiery son of a gun. I wouldn't want to get in a fight with him. He sees the angles. He is a wily navigator. And a lot of this stuff was really, it's proven true. The best thing we could have done was to support USARK Florida, because they know how to navigate this. They know how to expose them. The guys that are doing the videos and the social media, I mean, it's Instagram. USARK Florida has really figured out how to activate and leverage their platform to get their idea and communications across. Such a great job. You don't know how many people have told me that I should just move out of Florida. I should throw it in. It's dumb to be here. And there's times I felt like that. But the flip side is all the great breeders that are here, generally, my school system is really good here for my son. The infrastructure is good here. The political climate is bonkers, but that's kind of going around in America. No matter what side you like, right? And frankly, the taxes are really good and they're really beneficial here. Plus, it's my home. It's where I'm from. Like, I don't want to move. I want to fix it. I want the problem fixed, and I want to be able to stay here happily. So I felt really good. I'm really thankful, hugely thank you to USARK Florida and the USARK in general. Please continue to support them. Give when you can. I don't think this stuff is going away. I think it was literally the next day, maybe the day or two, Marco Rubio, the senator from Florida, reintroduced, I think this is the third time that he's brought it up, the Lacey Act amendments that would effectively outlaw shipping across state lines, which would, of course, be just, you know, it would kill our industry. It would turn a lot of people into outlaws, and instead of well-regulated, well accounted for animals and business and industry, which is healthy. Look at the difference between marijuana today and marijuana 30 years ago and those distinct business models. I think we can agree what's healthier, in my opinion. Marco Rubio has reintroduced this legislation. It's so new, as my understanding is that the legislation doesn't have a number or a number, I guess, assigned to it. And so writing and citing your disagreement with, legislation, 12345.46 isn't possible yet, but it's absolutely time nationwide for all of us to put the pedal down and talk to our federal representatives and start to explain that we don't care for this, just like the people in Florida expressed. Those business owners and stakeholders are nationwide, worldwide. I'm going to put out a link or a reel of Eugene Bissett's speech at the Miami meeting from the 11th. This is a worldwide industry. This is a worldwide production, distribution, buyers, sellers economy. And just simply shutting it down over archaic snake and reptile imagery it's unacceptable. This has been roundly defeated twice now in the past. And when I say defeated, everybody saves face by saying, we're going to table it and not mess with it. And then it just quietly goes away. That's what's happened before, but now it's popped up again. So we have to go. And sorry, I'm just catching up with the comments over there. We have to keep the pedal down and keep up the vigilance, but I'm I know I've said it like 5 times now. I'm so thankful for USARK. It really feels like an exhale here in Florida, and Florida's one out of 50 states. I know that, but I also think that we're kind of on the forefront of these reptile laws and challenges that we face. So look, if I could say anything, do the right thing, represent our community the best that you can, however you see fit. That's not my judgment to tell you how to represent yourself whatsoever, not in life nor in this community. But do good, do right, best that you can, and convey your thoughts. It makes a difference. Those voices made a difference, and I can't say that enough. So I'm going to commit this week to get on the horn with Marco Rubio and send the emails, call the office, and then again, start with my local representatives and just say, hey, look, guys, I can't support you if you're going to support this. So he might be in the Senate, but our local elected officials in the House of Representatives are going to have to vote on this to become law as well, which is a blessing because this is actually how legislation works rather than what FWC has been trying to do by just dictating laws. We're not a country of dictated laws. We're one of legislated laws. So make your voices heard. That's what I'm saying. Get out there, guys. Thank you. Let's see in the comments. Let me catch up here for a second. Yeah, I didn't even know this stuff. I'll take it that it's as a fact, but it costs builders $2,500 to remove gopher tortoise and find them a new home, or they can doze over them and get fined $1,000. Yeah, there's a net $1,500 favor. And again, the people running the FWC commission are property developers, you know? Yeah, I want to fix the issues. I want to see the issues fixed as well. I like my home. I like where I'm at. I might move one day. I probably will. I want seasons again one day. But right now, in this pun intended season of my life, this is the place where I want to be. Phil, what's going on, man? I owe you that set list. I told everybody earlier. I feel like I think we're pretty close to a firm go. We'll put on a little show up there in Pennsylvania. Man, actually it's coming up like 5 weeks, man. That's going to be pretty cool. So, yeah, if you guys want to cover anything or discuss anything, let me know. I got a couple more topics, but we're coming up on the 1 hour mark of me yapping along by myself. So, let me know if you want my thoughts on anything. I can't promise insight, but I got all sorts of thoughts, My next topic was social media. Social media, a couple really, really big changes lately. Instagram stopped the Reel bonus program. And for most of us, myself included, I got a total of $0 from Instagram Reels. And anybody who is familiar, let me know what I'm misrepresenting, because like I say, I have never been paid by Instagram, and I don't know how. They never really explain how to become eligible. You just get chosen. Apparently there's people with less followers than I have that I know were monetized. I'm monetized, but I've never been paid, if that makes sense. So like I've got approved for their monetization and I signed up and all of that, but I've never been paid in the Reel bonus. But that's actually not my point in bringing that up. There are people in our community, in our industry, and I'm not going to name names because it's a rough time for them right now. But there's one in particular, a breeder that I know for sure was making $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. Like every month was a new record for him, and he was in the several thousands a month. He was kind enough to share that with me. That's his business to share if he wants to share it publicly. But that means that went away. Sorry, I think a siren just went by outside. I guess everything sounds all right. Okay. So like that's going to change his livelihood. And I hope I'm sure out there somewhere was somebody who had, figured out the algorithm, figured out what would get views, and had kind of built their income around that. And that's gone. So that happened, in the past 2 weeks, anyhow, I think. TikTok is not everybody is a hot button to politicize, and possibly rightly so. I don't know. I never know quite what to make, geopolitically speaking, of China and their intentions. And please don't get into that in the comments. I don't need it. That's not what I'm here for. But what I am talking about is in Montana, they have officially banned TikTok. And the clarification is that it's corporations that they've banned it for. They're trying to make it so that you can't download it or from the App Store in Montana. And both Google and Apple were like, that's not really how it works. So we can't just like we don't have these perfect state line boundaries of connectivity. So the thing is, it's really just going to be a moot point. And then what are the police going to enforce it? Like, how's that going to work? But the point being, it's being pursued and it's under attack and that kind of thing. So what it makes me wonder is I know reptile breeders. I think and Gen Z has gotten out of the game. I think Gen Z had something like 20 or maybe 40 million TikTok follow. I mean, unbelievable following worldwide on TikTok. So while TikTok doesn't pay, your exposure is huge. And of course, and again, Gen Z as a brand doesn't exist anymore, I believe, or as an operating entity. But it got those guys great exposure. It got them, panel on Animal Con. Josh is working with Justin Kabilka now and I'm sure it sprung from that presence that he had built as part of Gen Z. So, and there's a lot of other people like that. I know that TikTok is a big part of what a lot of people do. And then, of course, there's the evolution that is Morph Market under Darian. And I got mixed emotions about that. But I said this, I think it was last week or the week before. From a straight user experience, whether it be a seller or a buyer, I'm as pleased as ever with Morph Market. Sure, there's tweaks and things I would suggest and this and that, but it's great. It's the best for a reason. It's great. But man, if you join the Morph Market sellers page, is that what it is? Or I think it's the Morph Market sellers, whatever it is. I don't understand the angle. And I truly, and I would say, if not, I got no ties to Morph. I mean, I'm a Morph Market member and I sell there, but, in that way I could speak, I have the right to speak even more freely. I'm a customer. I'm a paying customer. I'll say, I'll speak honestly. I think Darian's a very good dude and a very insightful dude and clearly experienced and successful dude. I don't get the angle, and I know he's been making his rounds on the podcast. I gotta go catch up on some of those and see what he's been saying. I just haven't had a chance to catch up, and I see him, and I mean, he's pretty transparent. I mean, he talks openly on the Facebook group. But it seems unsettling. It seems, I think I used the analogy of Jerry Springer. It seems very Jerry Springer-esque to me. So we'll see how it goes. What's up, Abe? Man, I hope that you're well. I'm still working on figuring out how I'm going to, or if I'm going to, not if I'm going to, I'm going to, what method I'm going to get up to Tinley this year. But I hope to catch up and see you in person. Thanks for coming by. Yeah, Mark said meme market. Yeah, so I see in the one side that Darian is bringing huge levels of interaction, huge levels of engagement, which is what you look for from social media metrics. He posts something incredible. Like the last month, there's been some sort of 8 million interactions where previously it had been trending at around 200,000. That's massive. That's fantastic. Is it the impression and the outward identity? Is that the right word? Of our community that we want, we're kind of under attack right now. We're under scrutiny. We just talked the whole section about US ARC, and I kind of would like to not be perceived as bumbling infighting, cavemen. I know that we are, it's all chaos. It's all, in some ways we're just flecks on a bigger rock flying through the universe at some ungodly speed that I don't even have the capability of understanding and comprehending. So in that way, maybe it doesn't matter. In another way, again, I like my livelihood. I like what I'm doing. I've put a heck of a lot of time into this. I haven't had a free Tuesday night in almost 2 years now. Thank you all for that. I'd like something for it, and I like us represented pretty well. So I guess maybe that's my issue. Maybe that's my challenge that I hadn't talked through it before. This is turning into Adam's therapy session. Maybe that's what bugs me. So as I've said, if I don't like it, I can just leave the group. That's the other thing I can do is just leave. I haven't. Again, Jerry Springer-esque. I could have just turned the channel, but Lord knows I watched that crap. We'll see how it goes. So I think social media is evolving in front of our eyes. There was so long that it felt like social media was very, very slow evolving. Like going way back, there was AOL, and then it was MySpace, and then Facebook was a big evolution. But I think Facebook is 20 plus years now. So I mean, that's a slow moving dinosaur in the world of social media. Instagram has been a fixture for at least a decade, right? Same with TikTok, I think is coming up on a decade of being there. And there really haven't been any other players in evolution. So those things happening all at the same time, especially affecting reptile breeders in our industry and our community, really kind of struck me. And then I wondered, like with change, Sorry, I'm looking at the I'm trying to catch up on the comments here. I get interrupted. See, usually when the guest talks, I can listen to the guest and I can be catching up on comments, you know, a little behind the scenes there. But usually with change comes opportunity for people that spot the opportunity. And what I'm wondering is, like, does it, like, what happens to the people that the bottom, that the rug just got pulled out from under, and what happens to their space that they've created? It's almost like internet real estate. Did it just lose value, and could it regain value down the line? Like, and I don't even know what angle to take with that. And I wouldn't know how to value it or anything else, but it's an interesting thought to me. And like I say, I usually, so like in recessions, I've only been through a couple in my life, especially as somebody that couldn't, as a saver or an investor or a money earner. But I've done really well in recessions, and I don't by any means hope for recessions. It's not what I want. But in the long run, the late 08 and 09 crash, the Great Recession as it's become known, and even that seems to fade. That, like, compared to the pandemic, that didn't seem that bad of a time, really, in retrospect. For me, again, always had different life experiences, but I made quite a lot of money because of that recession. I was able to buy a house at an affordable price that became a rental property. It was right at the time when I started saving and investing in the stock market, same with retirement plans and that kind of thing. So I did really well on that. And I look for opportunities when other people are getting out or freaking out. That's usually when I try and buy. I've been buying a lot of ball pythons this year. People are letting them go. Yeah, you could call it buying them cheaper. You can call it dollar cost averaging. You can, some people would call it not predatory. What would the other word be? Opportunistic, maybe. So I'm wondering if this is one of those moments. Like, what happens with those spaces that were built up? Do they go dormant? Like, they don't go away. Everybody's not going to just unsubscribe from them. They're still going to have, like, some leverage value. So I wonder what people do with those. I don't have an answer. I'm just, it's curious to me. So I'm interested. Yeah, Nick's. Oh yeah. So here's the other part of the morph market thing that's interesting to me. We're at a, what do they call it? Inflection point, when, like, it seems like it could be a momentous occasion, or vast change could come from it. Yeah. I think Clutch, and I think, Husbandry Pro. I think they're going to, I think in the next year to 18 months, over the next 2 breeding hatchling seasons, Clutch and Husbandry Pro are going to provide a huge amount of competition to morph market. And I don't know if I've made the point or not. I think being sort of independent of any one platform is a really, really, I think that diversity, it's the same idea as diversifying your portfolio, or, you know, when it comes to stocks. If you're beholden to only morph market to sell your snakes, you're probably fine. And I don't think it's a doomsday. I don't think morph market's going anywhere. I think there's going to be a lot of market intrusion, though. I think Clutch and Husbandry Pro, the data gathering mechanism that they have is, I like that show, Pardon the Interruption. Mike Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser, they have a segment where they fill in the word. If I were to fill in the word right here, the data collection of the power of Clutch and Husbandry Pro, I would call it Google-esque. I just made up the word. I would call it Google-esque, especially when it comes to breeders and reptile breeders. They have the IP addresses of the breeders, and they know what's in every collection. They know what's hatching out of every collection. And when you fill in the data of what you paid for it and what you're asking for it and all of that, it could predict markets. I think that's also, I would venture to bet that data analysis will be able to predict what the sales trends of genes will be in any given upcoming breeding season. With enough data, you could predict those sorts of things. Believe it or not, I do that kind of basic data analysis on just food product mixes in the restaurants. I actually was working on something this afternoon for somebody, and they're like, "Why are you so confident?" And I'm like, "Year in, year out, this sales item is 27% of your total revenue. It goes back 6 years. It's been that way every year. You're going to be within a point, maybe, of 27% on this." And it's not because I'm a genius. It's because trends are relatively easy to spot the more data you have and the more time you have to analyze that data or compare it against time. And they are collecting massive amounts of data. So I'm intrigued to see what's going to go on there. Oh man, we got some hot topics here, some hot takes. What is this? I don't know what HP is. HP won't do it. Husbandry Pro. You don't think that they're going to become a sales platform? Okay. Don't need any of these classified sites to become payment processors. The big issue with Clutch, the data they have available from us. Yeah. There's massive data that they have. Yeah, there's a point to that too. The head honcho, the two head honchos of the industry, having direct access to my entire collection. Yeah, I have an entrepreneurial buddy of mine. Somebody, Kai, was asking me if I'd ever done the investment partnership, and that's the guy I was talking about. But he and I were talking, and we bounce ideas off each other all the time, or just kind of chat about entrepreneurial stuff. He's a restaurateur and a real estate guy. I'm a restaurateur and a ball python guy. So we're best of friends and just go way back. But he says to me, "Adam, there's going to be Amazon and Google would have so much data. Instead of you ordering something, they're going to have the logistics nailed down so tightly that it's just going to be outside your front door, and you're going to have an opportunity to keep it or give it back, keep it and buy it or get rid of it. Yeah, we think that you're due for a Harley Davidson, Adam. Bam, here you go. Google says your cash flow is pretty high this month. You're going to be susceptible to buying luxury items. Boom, here you go. It's going to be right in your driveway. If you don't want it, we'll haul it off with the drone. But as a service to you, we think you'd enjoy this right now." I think that's like pretty realistic, actually. I think that we're going to see that in our lives. Who would have thought that our phones listening to us was going to advertise? Oh, how many of y'all got Sauvignon Blanc searches on your phone last week after I said it like 6 times into the airwaves? So, with that amount of data, and the problem is then it becomes leveraged against the everyday breeder. If the biggest guys controlling, I wouldn't say controlling, influencing the market, have all the data, let's say, for example, I've got, and I don't know either of these products. This is me. My sponsorship opportunities with these two companies probably out the window, right? Says the guy with note cards and spreadsheets. I do need to get one of them, and I do need to use one of them. But just hypothetically, let's just say that there's a new like ultra mega ball python guy comes in, and he doesn't exist, and it's all hypothetical. And he makes this product management system, and he sees that I've got 3 Enchi heck clowns. I'd be a great target that an algorithm could cook up pretty fast to send me an targeted ad of a breeder ready, Enchi clown. You can make super Enchis at him, or maybe he sees that I held back, a male fire spot nose. Well, here's a male Batman at a really reasonable price that's ready to breed. You could get targeted for susceptibility to based on the data that's shared, and that's a little scary. And now everything else in our lives is already susceptible to that. So I don't know why this is really any different. It feels creepy though. No, I don't know. Sorry, I'm behind on the comments. Yeah, Lindworm brings up a really good point too here. This is interesting. Turn around and sell the market data in analytic form for paid tiers, and you create a class of have and have nots. Absolutely. I worked not that hard, but I worked hard for a little bit. And somebody can correct me here. I know there's tech guys way more savvy than I am. But I've got some pretty savvy tech friends. We were working on truly, but I flew to Denver, Colorado last summer to meet with a app developer friend that I have, and as a good excuse to fly to Denver, Colorado last summer to figure out an app where we would need, for it to really have worked, we would have really needed Morph Market's participation and API. And I don't even know what API stands for, but basically API is access to A does not stand for access. It's access to data within that site that it's collected in some form or another that can be analyzed by an outside partnership party, I guess is the best way to put it. And I talked to John at Morph Market, and that was a resounding no. There was no access to API. There would not be access to API. And at the time, and continues, Morph Market's got a lot of data in and of itself, and they've been pretty good with it. They haven't turned into the evil empire, so I'm happy to hear that. But the eggs in the incubator, what you just hatched, what you're putting for sale, what your cost of goods are. I mean, they can extrapolate. If somebody fully used, as I understand, Husbandry Pro can be used, and if they collected all that data, I mean, they could analyze pretty quickly on a spreadsheet, really a basic spreadsheet, but a computer could do it way faster than I could by hand. They could even analyze who's profitable and who's losing money with some pretty quick assumptions and extrapolations. I mentioned Jessica earlier came up with kind of the average cost of what it takes to raise a ball python or to create a ball python. So you could use some of those assumptions there. You could see what people are spending and what they're selling for, and to see if they're making or losing. And again, that puts you in different categories of target levels for ads. So yeah, it's concerning. I didn't think I'd dive this deep into the topic, but this is where the conversation led. I'm going to catch up here again. Yeah, Charlie. There you go, Charlie. Yeah, this would be analogous to being the most popular restaurant in town, and every little restaurant that's going to move in willingly gives you their menu and entertainment ideas, not to mention what all the customers have bought, who spends the most money, and what they enjoy the most, right? Yeah. Yeah, this took a dark turn, and like I say, I absolutely couldn't ask for a better sort of faces of our industry and community than Billy and Justin. But it really has nothing to do with them personally. It has to do with this idea of data collection and the massive processing ability that technology now has. Yeah, Lindworm, I agree completely. With that data, you could make breeding decisions based on either what's selling the most popular or what's not in the market at all. Play the old supply demand game too. So, and then begs the question of, we can all not like it, but if the horse is out of the barn, you better get on the next horse and try and catch up with that first horse. Like you could, a lot of my whole thought today, be it shows, be it social media, and I was going to talk about some future plans too, is that you have to evolve. You have to change your business model. You have to stay relevant. A lot of the people that are, I mean, we're all lamenting that prices are down. We'd like prices up if we're sellers, and I get that part of it. But I've had some of the kind of the old timers that just like, can't do it anymore. It's done. It's over, you know? And I hear that at shows sometimes. That's something I didn't talk about. Yeah. There's politics at shows, and there's idiots at shows, and then there's great people as well too. And it's like, I was told that in music. I was told that in restaurants. You can't make it in restaurants. You never get ahead. No, you got to evolve. You got to grow with it. You have to change. And unless you're going to be a nostalgia act in music, which really you have to have massive amounts of money and a bunch of good hits to be a nostalgia act anyhow, you got to change and evolve what you're playing. You got to listen to your customers. You got to see what the competition's doing. You've got to figure out, you know, like me, shows work for me because I don't buy a hotel for 2 nights. That'd be an extra $300-400 in most cases for a 2 nights a hotel. And sometimes you just got to do the work that nobody else wants to do. If the big guys don't want to come to Jacksonville, I'm going to go breed in Jacksonville. If I'm vending a show and I can't stay with a friend, well, I got an air mattress and I'm going to put in my truck. I bought that truck just to be able to camp in it originally. Okay, I'll do it. I say that because maybe this data conversation is a bellwether that we're just going to have to change and evolve, or become those dinosaurs that I was just talking about and become extinct on our own. So Brandon had some technical issues with Husbandry Pro, and then there was a ton of there's a ton of features that I don't know if I would use or not either on there personally. Let's see. Hey, Stephen and Courtney, let's see what Courtney says. Breeding ball pythons require so much time to get animals up to size. I don't, and he must say, I don't think Justin is going to materially change his breeding plans by seeing what other breeders have put into clutch. I don't think he would change breeding plans, although it might influence it. Again, trends over time prove ball pythons require so much time and effort to get to a point, but it also requires a lot of time and effort for something to fade as well. I don't know that it necessarily is a direct inverse of the time it takes to grow, but the targeted ads for the animals that you do produce based on the data of the users, yeah, I could see that right away. I love how simple Jessica boils everything down very simply. Justin doesn't care about your firefly bumblebee pairing. No, he does not. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think that he cares about the firefly bumblebee pairing. Justin might very well care about Stephen and Courtney's sunset to whatever other triple visual they're going to put it with next, and he might want to advertise to them though. I do think he would be interested in that. Let's see. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we can't get too worried about it. We can't get into the sky is falling thing and what if the what if trap is not good. We could control what's in front of us. We could do what's best out there. And a lot of it's the difference between business and hobby. I dream of this being a primary business of mine. It is a primary business. I dream of it being the primary business of mine. So I think that's our concerns are probably reflective of how much we care as well, you know. And Grandpa Phil here says, yeah, another reason to stay off the internet. All right. So my future plans, I share some of this just because I love everybody's input. I share some of it because part of my brand is that I'm transparent about my business evolution and what I have going on. I decided that evolution is like the new word instead of journey, because I don't know why. Apparently, the word journey has annoyed, people bash it some. Plus, it's a band that I cannot stand. That's a whole different conversation. So we'll go with evolution now. So being transparent about business plans is part of the identity of my evolution of my channel. That's my brand. Looking at the calendar here, after the July 4th holiday, my daytime consulting commitments are going to basically be cut in half. I'm backing way off of those. I've worked incredibly hard this first half of the year, and honestly, music and snakes, they haven't suffered, but they've come second, and that's okay because I got to pay the bills, and it's good money. I hope I'm always humble and hardworking, but I'm also thankful for the pay. So it's very good in that way. But I'm forecasting that I will have about 80 to 100 hatchlings in the next 6 months. So I'm about to get incredibly busy with those hatchlings, but I actually want to tick back how much I'm working outside of the house on site. I want to tick that back so that I'm home more. And what that means is I want to really, the snakes and the music have done okay in this time. I can't complain about that. But what really has hurt is my YouTube productivity and growth. And I really enjoy that. And I found it very productive. Much like the shows, you can't always quantify specifically how good it's doing, how well it's doing for you. But it's overall good to do. And it just, again, increases the net that I can cast out when I want to reach people. So I want to get back to producing a weekly video on YouTube, but I also was thinking of, starting a second show with a little bit of a different theme, far more, and I think I want to do it in the mornings. I think, and I know it's been done. I know there's other options, but totally different. So like this show usually is like focus topic, deep dives, with a specific guest for the whole time, and they're the only guest. Part of that reason is it's highly searchable content. If I have a guest on and we're going to talk about big data in ball pythons, that's highly searchable and will probably land anybody that searches reptile data or data gathering in reptiles to that show, right? So it's beneficial for that long-term ripple effect of searchability on YouTube. But I think just a fun goofing off, like morning style show, like morning drive kind of style show. And I don't want to get into, what do they call them? Like morning zoo or whatever nonsense, or I'm not going to be Bubba, that crap. But I think it'd be fun in the mornings to have guests that pop on, pop off, really make it audience centered. I'd have to get better. Maybe I would need a producer or a co-host to help me moderate the the comment section content. But I was thinking of trying that. The beauty of YouTube is that nothing really is bad. Nothing. If it's bad, you could just take it away. You just eliminate it. So I was thinking of trying that. What do you guys think of that? Let me know if that sounds interesting, or if you have an angle that you would want to see me explore. That's really what I'm thinking, to continue sort of, again, my own evolution and growth, growing the channel, reaching a different audience. Maybe there's a different audience in the mornings than at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday night. I know that part of what bugs me in a good way, and I appreciate it, a lot of us are we just go from one like the podcast listening community among reptile owners or breeders. There's like 80 of us that at any given time might be in different places, right? Or maybe 120. I don't know. But I have, and I don't have a huge number, but I have 2,500, 2,600 subscribers on YouTube. So there's more potential viewers out there that just aren't being activated or engaged. So maybe I could try and reach them in a different way, or maybe I could cross market something like that, or maybe like each month I'd have a different, do like a month with a different co-host that we just kind of see how it goes kind of thing. I don't know. I got to think through this, but it's really been on my mind. That last part is what the kicker has been. So like if you look at even at Chris Eaton's subscribers versus average views or average audience, I mean, none of us are batting very high. It's incredibly low. I mean, like a total subscribers, I'm doing great if I get 2% to tune in. What are those other 98% doing? They're not here. And I see that it's a lot of the same of us in the audience at in different places, just hopping around. So it's really been on my mind. How do I activate a wider audience from subscribers that should be hot leads, so to speak? Like, it's not like I should have to, you see what I'm saying? It's almost like elections in the United States. It's not about breaking ground or getting new ideas or converting anybody. It's just about activating your base. I need to activate better than 2% of my base. And I really, I really think that's something that I want to do. A podcast from a show. Yeah, upstate New York. First off, Morphs, thanks for checking out the show. I don't know if I've seen you before, and thanks for being here. Yeah, and like I say, I've lost track of the comment section. A podcast from a show. That would be good, except that I'm generally just a one-man show. Speaking of operating in a lean manner, I don't take anybody else with me on the shows. Usually, sometimes my son, my 11-year-old, is there with me, but running the podcast from the show. But maybe like if the show is Saturday, Sunday, maybe a Saturday night, like on location, just like find the guest that day. That's a cool idea. I go in, no expectations. I'll find the guest that day, who's going to be the guest that night. And, maybe it's over chicken wings and beer. Oh, you don't want to watch us eat chicken wings. All right. So we have some beers and we do it off the cuff at the, at the wing house across the street or something like that. That could be cool. Podcast viewers aren't video viewers. No, they're not. It's different. But is it 98 to 2% different? I feel like there's a bigger swath of the Venn diagram than 2%. No, I don't know. Yeah. So these are the thoughts. I like to tinker. I try different things out. Sometimes they go well. Sometimes they don't. A lot of times they don't, but the ones that hit are good. And then the ones that don't, I know that I've scratched that itch, so to speak, So, yeah. Oh, Derek. Okay. So yeah. So Derek says, tour of the Snake Room. Yeah, I've done that on, I have a video, probably several, maybe I need to do another one, but as far as like a show concept, that's what I'm trying to piece together. What's missing. And by the way, there's podcasts everywhere. I can't even keep up with them, and I'm not good at it. I don't watch a whole lot of social media or engage a lot. I agree with Brandon. Like if I'm cleaning, I try and put an episode on. I try and catch Jana and Jessica as often as I can, and Jeremy Warfels I catch as often as I can live. But yeah, no, yeah, oh yeah. So Balls of Gold says, I love a morning show, not as a replacement though. No, it would be a second one. This Tuesday night one, this is my anchor. I'm not going anywhere on this. It's a proven, for me, it's a proven commodity. And I have, if nothing else, I have commitments around it, but I have commitments to myself and I feel a commitment to the audience. I'm really, really, really proud. I am proud and thankful for what I've been able to be a part of here with you all as the audience. So no, that's not going anywhere on Tuesday nights. It would be an addition. It would be adding to it. What happened? Now we're talking about Stranger. I engage the camera here and I lose it. I need like a Google, like in earpiece that like verbalizes the comments in my head while I'm going. Stranger danger. Jessica, I got to get to the, yeah, you're in like the southern Midwest. I know where you're at. Do they call that the Midwest and the South part, or is the Midwest only the North part? I got to come hang out. I got to vend a show like across the aisle from you, and we just have to like shout weird things at each other. That'd be a blast. Potential show idea: reptile debates, have 2 guests and them take various stances. Yeah, we could do like a Stephen A. Smith and whoever he's screaming at kind of show in the mornings. You got to have like the role players. Like that's almost like pro wrestling. Like you got to be like, all right, dude, you're going to be the heel today, and you're going to be the good guy that everybody likes, If you're listening audio only, I get an absolute kick. Yeah. Jessica says, yeah, we're going to do that. You'll debate, you'll have people scream at each other. It'll be pro wrestling-esque, and then call it dystopian hellscape. Yeah. That could be the Darian Drollinger show, Reptile Fight Club. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I have thoughts, and I have opportunities. That's what we'll call it. There's opportunities to check things out. So anyhow, stay tuned. Post July 4th is when I really kind of committed to myself that I'm going to make a little more time for the things that I really personally find important right now. That could get overrun by things that are important, like eating and having lights and, being a parent and a husband. But, one morning a week. And I think it would, I got to look, I don't know who does what at other times. I got to look at the day and all of that. It doesn't really matter. I used to think that this wasn't a popular time, and now everybody's got a Tuesday night podcast. So who knows? Oh yeah. Cooking show on snake genetics. Yeah. I've really, I don't know, I guess I would run out of guests. I think it would be a blast to do there might be something to do the show from the reptile show over dinner. Like dinner and drinks is the best like conversation. I love it. It's one of my happiest places that I could possibly be. I couldn't do it consistently, but I might have to do some special episodes from it, man. It's just, it's so authentic, or if it's not authentic, by the time you put some wine in there and good food, and you got to watch it, because who wants to watch videos of other people eating? On the other hand, maybe like the cocktail hour before dinner, I'm going to do that from Daytona. I think I'm going to figure out how to do that. I like that idea. All right, guys, I think that's it. I think I'm rambling on, and I want to say thank you to everybody. I can't believe that I went solo for an hour and 45 minutes and you guys hung out the whole time. That's really, really cool, which does plant seeds in my mind that maybe I just need to have deep thoughts with Adam. Maybe that just needs to be the show instead of booking people. Nah, I'll keep getting guests on, I promise you. But when I do these, I appreciate it. Next week, Gray family snakes, fresh off the boat from Sierra Leone from their trip. That came out wrong. They are in Sierra Leone for a good reason, and they'll be flying home, and then they'll be on the show to talk about their good reason. They're ball python breeders. I'm looking forward to hanging out with them. I'll see y'all soon on Instagram, all that stuff. Check out the sponsors down below. Thank you. I will see you all soon. I always get into that, and then I don't have the music ready to hit. Cheers, guys. Sayonara. See you next time.